To Belfast, Wales. I'm Jonathan Watson, and today's guest is Brian Cassidy. Brian is an ambassador for Dynamite Life Style. Brian is also an All Ireland boxing champion. Um, and thank you for coming on. If anyone from Belfast was listening to Q Radio last week, it was a mental health awareness week. Brian was on Q Radio and he was giving a couple of snippets of advice and help for people suffering from mental health. So that's why I reached out to you. So thank you for coming on.
Thanks very much, Jonathan, for having me. As I say, we all know that the mental health crisis in Northern Ireland is mad, and I'm very more than happy to help out and give tips and stuff for last week in Curio. But as I say, what we work on is a human performance, and it's helping people to get the ability to get the most out of themselves, and that's all we want to do is be 1% better. And I believe that I've discovered that through my journey of life. So as I say, I'm looking forward to come on here, and I know what you're doing here, and I think it's a great thing. People back
Thank
home
you.
need this as much as more than ever.
No, thank you. No, definitely. Um, Brian, if you could just give us a wee rundown of, like, obviously you're based, I think, in Newcastle upon Tyne at the moment.
Yeah,
You give us a wee idea of where you're at now and then kind of how you started out.
no worries. Well, look, I'm living over here in Newcastle now. Just will be a year next week. As I say, my whole life has been transformed. I'm working now with Dynamite Life Style as an associate alongside them. So what we do is help people come in and we mentor them through programs and stuff to get from where they are now to where they want to be, and we close that gap. And that's something that we have done with so many people. And this is what I have done. I have closed it from where I was at until where I wanted to be, and now I'm so happily over here with a partner that you know, I'm living with, who I never had was ever fit to hold down a partner because things were never as crazy. But I say, like, the job I get to do now, it's so I wouldn't call it a job. It's called living. It's called passion. It's called helping others. And as I say, I was on to the phone from a lady from Helsinki yesterday, and she was up visiting her relatives in Lapland. So things are crazy, and like I'll be on the phone to another lady in Vancouver. It doesn't matter where it could be. Might be from Northern Ireland. I live in Newcastle now, but with this internet and what we're doing, we're able to reach out to, I think our company's in 30 countries around the world. And that's so many people. There's over 350 of us on there in a Tuesday night call, which is an incredible feeling. Now, and I get to do this every day now, but it not always was like that for me, Jonathan. For In order for us sometimes to shine bright in our life, we need that pressure. We need that troubles in our life. And I believe that we all know that a piece of coal under pressure turns into a diamond. That's how a diamond is formed. But the diamond's no good without the light in it. And it was only through mentorship that shone a light in me. For my dark days were bad. It was through mental disturbance of wanting my life to end. I'd say my life started to take probably its biggest turmoil, probably in around the ages of 18, 19. I was probably a lot of people here could relate to, Jonathan. Maybe
Yeah.
yourself could relate to. We go off a while, but I had an emotional impact, which would be the loss of a good friend after a holiday. And that I was probably in a drinking heavily at that time too. But when you find your good friend about 18, 19 going off and passed away due to cancer right now, and that's just sprung me that I could die anytime. And that left me, and I had no respect for life whatsoever. Now, not with anybody else, but for my own life, for my
Mm.
the way I treated my body over the next must have been 10 years was going to be through drink and drugs. That's all I done. I would go. Don't get me wrong. The partying was mad, and I enjoyed it. The crack was 90, Jonathan.
Yeah.
It's something. Them things we talk about. All these things are bad. These things are great at the time, but
Yeah.
you prolong something that has got a negative impact towards your body and your mental state. Like I was in a bad way, then it got to the point where things were doing over these period of 10 years. I would lose three friends to suicide and a couple of friends to drugs, to just experimenting too much. And that broke me. I thought it was going to be me, that I thought, Jonathan, I could have been that person.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing when you're in that situation and you've seen your friends passing away and you think, and I was going out for 3 to 4 days at a time, completely on the binge. Drugs could be 5 days, just doing hands, but you weren't eating, you weren't sleeping. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm a small guy, but I can tell you, I was a lot smaller then. I maybe down to, I don't know what weight I was, but my face had all shrunk in, the jaws popped out of just doing drugs over and over again. And I didn't care if I died or not. Sometimes I wish I had it. And that was the sad thing. I was looking to live my life to the fullest because my best friend lost his life. But I was going about it in the wrong, opposite way. Complete sabotage. Complete, like, getting pumped out. I've been pumped out in Turkey, pumped out in France, laying in hospitals all over, from Australia to, just mad, John. And that every time, like, I didn't know what. It could have been any day I was dicing with death. Because they talk about, Bob Proctor is now a mentor of mine there along with Kim Calver. And he talks about a razor's edge and this thing. And I know that life is either, fear or success and failures a razor's edge at times. You could be just one bit away from complete success, but at the other side is just the opposite of failure. Yeah. And a lot of my friends diced with it too long enough on that razor's edge and they fell over the other side through the mental health, through the too much experiment. I could have been the exact same. Times I thought I wanted it, I did want it over because the pain that I was going through with inside. Somebody always says that I was trying to break free from a prison that I didn't know I was in. That was your mental prison, the mind. I was literally the thoughts that I was having. I don't want to do this anymore. And you just were hanging around with all the people. Don't get me wrong, good friends now that have come through now this. But I would end up then going on a journey. Buddy, it would take me off. I said this can't be normal. My mother used to come in roaring and screaming, "What are you at? What are you at? You're better than this. You're better than this." She used to come in. I was completely white laying in the thing, and literally she would just go into the pocket, new knowledge, threw pills and hit me in the head, and just screaming and roaring at me. But that left me that when I was out partying, I didn't want to come back, and this would go on for years until my mother came in one day, lad, and I had no guilt at that time. But she came in one time, and she had just defeated. She was coming in from looking after her mother, and she had through her own mental state, through her mental health, through three or another 6 other kids to look after. But here's me, turn my life away, throwing it down the drain with drinking drugs. And she came in one day and she just changed it. And I did an interview with her, and it really hurt me to hear what she said. Like, she says, I didn't know what to do anymore. She says, it's either cry and roaring and shouting. She says, I didn't even have the energy to roar and shout because I knew it wasn't going to make any difference. And she came in and started giving me iced lollies and Lucozades, and she just smothered me with love, like smothered me with unconditional love. Here's me laying here in bits, completely didn't care about my body, didn't care about the life that I had. And I was showing disrespect to her and my family. And I was always snapping and biting at her. But this time, when she sat on the side of the bed and she went and got me Lucozades and she'd do it again, that would bring me to a point where, Jesus Christ, I can't do this anymore to her. Yeah. I want something to change. Yeah. But it doesn't change overnight. That want and that just boom, it does not change. I wanted to, but it would come to the stage where it would break me down. Instead of going 4 nights at it, I would come at 3 nights and make sure that I was coming in some bits and pieces that I could walk through the door rather than carried through the door. It was kind of like a small step, but I didn't want to put her in, and the boys would say, no, I would go home at 2 o'clock rather than going out till the next day and the next night. But I was still having the battles. I was having the battles with my drinking the drugs, and I didn't know where to go with it. So that would take me off on a journey, researching, figuring out things, and that would bring you down the likes of the YouTubes. I'm sure, Jonathan, you've started this up. You've watched the great Dr. Wayne Dyers, the Les Browns, the Tony Robbins, all these people, and these people started doing. But it was that Dr. Wayne Dyer that told me about yoga and meditation. That really started to trick with me and started to go yoga. And with me, the addicted personality and stuff, that I would go straight all in. So I ended up in a week's retreat in the Bahamas. It's actually called Paradise Island. Right. And this was incredible. Like, I went over there with no meat, no alcohol. You go into it. It was all about meditating, doing yoga. I had never done yoga before, and here's me sitting out to go into a yoga retreat and living in a tent on an island in the Bahamas. And I was doing 6 hours of yoga a day and doing meditation. I was doing Jaya Kinesis. I know what people talk about raising chakras, like, to do these mantras. I would sit there. I didn't know what was going on with me, but my body would start to shake with energy because of releasing the energy through me and what I was doing there. So I thought to myself, John, I goes, fine, I'm fixed. I'm fixed. This is it. This is me. I've come here. I've heard neurologists talking about meditation and talking about yoga and stuff. I'm fixed. This is me, finished. And I would come home from that thinking, boom, boom, chest out. I have all this problem sorted. But when you go back into the same environment, nothing else has changed back home. And I had hit a temporary switch in my life. I hadn't changed the program that I knew that was running inside. So as much as the temporary switch was up, once it withered away and that exhausted the energies with, I was buying into the drinking drugs again.
Yeah.
That's the tough thing.
Funny you say that. I remember reading. I think I was watching a video. It was a video on United States service personnel during the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
and they found that the rates of drug abuse among soldiers was very high because the environment they were in. They didn't want to be there. It was just the death toll was high. I think they lost and fused. They knew they were losing the war, but they often find that soldiers that were heavily addicted to heroin and stuff like that, once they came home, you were talking about that environment, they came home to, like, maybe their parents lived in a farm in the Midwest or whatever, they didn't have that need for those drugs. And the researchers were trying to figure out, well, there should be an addiction there. But they actually find it's because that this addiction exists. But for them, it was that change of environment. And I think that's a really good point you made about. I think we have that, and I've had it myself, like that promised land syndrome. If I do this, I get to here, and once I get to here, my life's going to change. And then you often find you go back to that environment. That's the thing, the factor you haven't factored in, and that pull. And I think you probably agree with me, especially in Belfast, Northern Ireland. We do have that kind of culture of boozing, heavy drinking. I mean, if people have problems, we don't talk about. There's another pint, get that down you, and that'll cheer you up. But
you know what? At that time, nobody wanted to listen in the environment you were in. There was. I mind saying, people ask me, why would you think you were addicted? Now, addiction's got a big, vast thing, what you call about it. But the only thing for me is that I wanted to stop and I couldn't stop. And that was the only thing that I had. My friends laughed at me and they were doing the party and the drink. I had nobody else that wasn't doing it. It was your environment you were in. As you say, it's a cool thing. Get rid of your problems. And and I knew the paradise and what the feelings that I had over there. And I knew it was special. And I thought, I was doing this to give my mother love because I couldn't give her back anything. I couldn't love myself, so I had to go on that discovery, and that was what it was. But it wasn't until we talked about here that it brought me till my good friend would give me a book called The Secret. And you've heard of that there, the law of attraction law.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's the secondary law because the law of vibration is the primary law through my studies through the human performance with Dynamite Lifestyle. And it was in that there, lad, that I started reading this. And again, addicted. I put it in my car, lad. I had a DVD player and I put it in, lad. And I didn't have a radio on for 6 months, lad. And everybody's, what the fuck are you listening to that shit for? And I was like, I don't care. This is doing something to me because I heard the repetition of something over and over again. You can change things. Well, that would lead me, the way if you listen to something over and over again, it gives you new thoughts, new ideas. That brought me up to the thing of boxing. Now, when I was boxing around 13, 14. Always had a dream of winning an All Ireland. I actually wrote it down when I was at school as if that I wrote it, that I am so happy. I didn't say happy, so happy. It was a record of achievement. I wrote down I won an All Ireland and I represented my country in Ireland and all. And I wrote that down, telling lies to my friends, whoever would read it, but I hadn't done that. But yet and all, here's me. I would go on this journey. This secret give me, and I knew about the law of attraction. Put the gratitude rock in your pocket, rub it every day, be grateful for things, and you'll have more to be grateful for in your life. That was really good. That really done it. And for me, then I would go into the boxing. This would bring me down a line. I had a good friend of mine, D. Graham, who's D. Graham Tiller Made there, he makes the suits and stuff there. So me and him would go on this journey. He brought me up to the boxing and stuff, and it was his buzz for it to give it back to me. But it would send me on a journey to going after an All-Ireland title. I was coming in around kicking at the age of 26, 27, and a lot of people are past it at that stage. But I had this secret, and I know the law of attraction, so I get the picture of the medal, an All-Ireland medal, and I got it on me. So there was a lady that wanted one of them. I got it on me. I took a picture of that. I visualized that every day, and I said, I will, I can, I must. I went out in the roads, trained twice a day. Didn't even have a boxing club. Me and Dee and another cousin and stuff, and other lads set up our own boxing club, Lockshore ABC, and that ended up, lad. I was the chairman of that boxing club, and I ended up, my whole life had started to shift and change because what I was doing. I was going after a goal. And I was going after this All-Ireland title, and I said I'd rather die than not achieve it. And that's something that I was willing to do because at the end of the day, I was going to die doing something else that I didn't want doing.
Yeah.
So I went at this here for the next 3 to 4 years, lad. I was being a pillar of the community, a discipline in my life. I was coming at it. I didn't have time for the drink because I was too focused on the energy. I didn't have time for the drugs because I was too focused on the goal. I was busy doing training with the kids. I was taking 100 kids, teaching them about discipline and stuff. What the hell did I know about discipline? And my whole life, I played rack on the sideshow, of it.
Yeah.
But it was when you were going after a goal. I would go after this goal, Jonathan, and it's something like it was crazy. I wrote it down and all because that's what the secret asks. And I wrote it down and I wrote down the date, and you had to be very specific because the universe will give you exactly. If you want more money and you ask for more money, and you know what, and you say the next day you didn't get anything, but you don't remember that 1p or 10p that you got yesterday. That was more money because the universe gives you exactly what you want, but you got to be specific. So I was specific. I said I want to win by stoppage. Now I'd never stopped anybody in my life, so I'd never expected it. But I get into this zone and believing, and always I think about it day, morning, night. I literally lived, breathed this goal. And anybody had to come my way. I get into the first round. I mind the boys all coming in. Everybody else is doing their warm up. Oh, sorry.
You're right.
Everybody's doing their warm up, lad. And here's me. I'm Glenn meditating because I know that a calmness of the mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. And for me, I needed as much wisdom to understand that it's not the next 10 minutes that I'm going to win this here fight. It was all the months and years of preparation. Now, you do not win a fight an hour before the fight. The fight is well won before that. It was won the day I decided I was going to do it, but I backed it with belief and persistence and discipline. I get into that ring, and I remember standing like in the way, my coach saying to me, "Do you want to do anything?" I goes, "No." I goes, "Mitchell," "This is won long before. This is won the day I wrote that in that book." I walked into that ring, and I tell you what, I watched my hands firing out. There was no nerves, no nothing. I was the calmest person. And I literally watched my hands. I never had to think. It was such an automatic, lad. I had trained myself. Don't get me wrong, I had 3 fights before that, and I got my nose broken and everything. And I never won on it. But I didn't care about them because I knew they were nothing that I wanted. They toughened me up for to come in this. I seen 1 minute, lad, that kid lasted in front of me. Because my hands were singing. I literally never breathed the whole time. It was just like that. And next all, because all my friends and family wanted to come to Dublin to watch it. I says, "No, nobody's coming. They're coming to the All-Ireland final." Because I had such belief and such persistence in it. My whole life had changed in that there, I thought. I got to the All-Ireland final. I won the All-Ireland final. I got to that, lad. I was like, the boy said to me, "Who's next?" And I was sitting there, my legs crossed, arms crossed. State of calmness, because I knew that I had this thing won, and I had to step out of the universe's way, because sometimes we get in our way when we want our goals, when we want our desires. We get in the way because we overthink it. You ask for it, you sit back and have faith, and it'll come to you. Well, I done that sitting at the corner of that ring, and I knew I was going to get it. Now, I had a big problem losing weight, had to get down a stone. I was only 68 kgs and I had to get down to 60 kg. It was crazy, and I was throwing up green bile and stuff, but it didn't matter. I was going to win this thing. But when I won that there, Ireland. Great feeling. It was amazing. Everybody sending you messages. It was great. 6 weeks in, I was back worse than I ever was, lad. Drinking drugs, my whole life thing, because I just wanted to get that and nothing else.
Yeah.
And I was back at it because I thought to myself, I'd done a permanent change. But I went, like the Bahamas, I went for an external fix over to the Bahamas to get something to fix me from outside. Then I went here to get me fixed from the outside and win the goal. I didn't realize what a goal was for nothing. A goal is not to get something. It's to become something. It's in the journey that we are. It's not about getting, it's becoming. And that's what it is. A goal is a worthy ideal, a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. But when you achieve that worthy ideal and you don't have another option, my whole life was just about winning that. I got rid of girlfriends and everything because of the middle of it. I had like no time for anything. I was so focused on that. But here's me back doing drinking drugs, and I was a pillar of the community and everything was done. The shame knowing I was laying bits and pieces doing this all over again. And I could not work it out that I had done this here and I'd done that, but yet no, I couldn't have fixed what was going on.
Yeah.
Didn't realize, lad, there was an internal program that was running that I had to go and get to that. But that was sitting there. That's then their trouble there, lad. We don't understand that there's a program that has been planted in us from the ages of 1 to 7. It's called a paradigm. Paradigm is something that we help change people. It's what I help shift now. But my program was running there, and I had temporary fixes. I went to look outside, went to external, another external thing. But here, it didn't stop me again there because I was so fed up with that. I actually got to go over to I was case I had wrote it down. I wanted to go and represent my country over in America, but I didn't get to America. I got to Canada, my very last fight, and got over there and went back into it again. It gave me a relief again. It was a boost, but I couldn't do it anymore because you're getting blackouts and stuff after boxing. You know, you're starting to, even you get knocked out and stuff. I get hit in an international cup, and you're starting to get sore heads and stuff. You say to yourself, and I won a belt over in America, over in Canada in Saskatchewan. So with an Irish select team, and I said, that's me done. And so it was. But I still lost that. All these things that I went to do, I went to get them to fix me, but none of them fixed me. So what I going to do? I was reading a book called Stealing the Fire. Powerful book, but getting into a state of ecstasis. So I loved me the drugs and all of the past, but I wanted this thing called ayahuasca would help with addictions and stuff.
Yeah.
So ayahuasca is the thing that everybody's talked about, that if you have addictions, you have a drink or something like that there, it helps you, depression, whatever. So I would jump on a plane and head over to Portugal, Monte Mariposa by myself. There was 19 countries represented over there, you know, different countries. And it was the most beautiful thing ever. We went in, 5 days we go on heart dancing and all this carry on. Like, it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. No meat again, no alcohol. And you take the ayahuasca, I don't know if you ever heard of it, leaves of a tree and bark of a tree.
Yes.
And I took it now, and the boys were very good at it. They took one, and I'm sitting there, right? Because I have no time to wait around. I need my hit now. This is like, you know, where's this? This doesn't work for me. This is not real. This is not real. Give me another one. Can I have another one? You know, we're not really sure this is your first time doing it. No, I just give me another one. So up goes Brian with 3 glasses, you know, and you know what? It is rotten. It is. They say it's your soul. But I wrote down intentions like I always do. I wanted to get rid of ego. I wanted to get rid of attachment and judgment. And this thing here, lad, I took the 3, and I tell you what, this just lifted my whole face, just ripped off everything. It was just the most sensational thing in the world. But then up comes the black purge. So you're purging all your badness, all the badness of your soul. And it's all black stuff that comes out in that bucket. Yeah. And you're in a wee room, like, and the whole room's moving, hands, everything. It's the most craziest thing, lad, in the world. But after I did the purging for a while, all these fights and all this journey and come on, you have all the answers, you know everything. It was the most incredible thing. For 9 hours, you go off of this complete drift, and everybody's laying down inside this place. And it's incredible. People are screaming and roaring because they're meeting their demons of the past, and they're thinking, I'm just the most blitz. There's one boy walking around, Michelle, and he's going to go one leg right enough, you know, but, you know, he's saying, I'm God, I am God, we are all gods. His head's away with it. And the guides are there, they don't ever talk to you. Yeah. But that was a sensation of realness, of awareness that I got, like who I was and what I was. Here's me thinking I had all the answers, I know everything. But what did I do? So that was the first day. It was the most beautiful thing ever. I thought it was just a great journey, and I had nothing wrong with me. But I went into the second day, lad, and it was all outside. You wear white and all, you know. Everybody's wearing white. There's ceremony, there's a big campfire out there, the sun's shining. And we go into it, and I just let go this time. I wanted to give myself to Mother Ayahuasca. Fuck, I can tell you now. I give it up, and there was only 2.5 glasses needed. There was only 2 glasses, actually. And the girl just says, you don't need this other one. And he was right, but I took it. I mean, bro, my face done the same thing again. Black purge and purples, everything. All these colours and everything going off. But I literally would drift then. And next of all, I was coming around, but I could see all this green right around me. I didn't know what this green was. I was state of calm in the place. But I looked down. All the guides had left everybody else, and they were all around me because I looked down. There was some body fucking been flipped about and threw about. It was my body. My body was been lifted, fired up, across that way like there was no attachment to anything. Arms going, everything. And I was just sitting there in the back seat watching this body been took over. Yeah. It was crazy, lad. Been lifted, fired up, lifted straight up, fired back down. Mental. But it was then brought me I went off hunting on my journey with the ayahuasca. I went off hunting with a tribe leader and everything. And it was an incredible experience. I went and found his child got killed when we were out hunting. And that was the lesson. We don't get over emotionally about it. They come and they go in the spirits. That's what it is. You don't get attached and all. And then the judgment, I shall not judge myself and others, you know, and that's what it was. And I wanted to get rid of ego, but you had to let go of the mind. So Mother Ayahuasca, I started screaming, what do you want? What do you want? And I want your mind. I says, take my mind. And I mean saying it, lad, but she said back like to me was, you know, you can't actually think about giving the mind until, you know, it has to be given. You thinking about giving the mind, you're using the mind. And I had to get it too. and tell about it all half an hour. Like, my whole body was still shaking about this whole journey when I was doing this, and the guides were watching me because I was going to hurt. They moved everybody else away. But then eventually I started speaking. I started speaking this first language of what, and this went on, and there was the click, click. It was absolutely mental.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody else didn't know what was going, but I was trying to tell them a story about me going off hunting and all this here, but I couldn't speak English. It was all this other thing. So it was the most incredible thing. So I was like, this is the most surreal thing. But I thought, oh, this is special because this is happening to me. That was my ego going until he ripped me to shreds, just fired my body about till I was completely exhausted, lad. The campfire was up and going. I was still speaking this language, trying to tell everybody what was going on here.
Yeah.
But I thought that this was a special thing for me. This was going to change everything for me. I thought this is it. Like, this was the most thing. I cried my eyes out the next day, probably 4 or 5 hours of enjoyment. Just the happiest I've ever done. Like, we had an apple, and it's like eating for the first time, the sensations, the mindfulness, the presence of awareness, the leaves, the ground, the textures, the bed, going to sleep, the pillow. Everything was such a present. It's like living without another world. You're just present at every single moment of life, but it was on for hours, and this is the greatest thing ever, like, to see everything perfect, like touch and sensation of your hand and everything. It's incredible. Like, so, but I come home with this newfound awareness saying I'm fixed again, Jonathan. But I didn't realize that I went for an external thing again. But it wasn't this, lad. The trees. I was an open reach engineer, BT there back home. I'd go up a pole high and I'd be in a trees, and I could sit there for ages. The awareness of the leaves touching my skin, the water dripping down, the rain. I could just go into the zones by just being present of all the beauty and everything in the world. But if it got too much that I couldn't communicate so much more with everybody else, and my mind was just too much. I couldn't. Everything was too aware. You were listening to, you could hear things in words and how many different types of birds you could hear. Even laying in with the grass. Things were just too much awareness for me. So what do you do with awareness? You suppress it with drinking. Sure, what happens when I take drink? The drugs come in again.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing for me again. I ended up thinking that I was sorted and fixed again, Jonathan. And what happened? Here's me back drinking drugs again, telling everybody about these amazing stories and telling them how to do things, and but just full of ego, full of shit again.
See, when you went on the journey to the yoga retreat, and then obviously your time during the boxing, and then obviously to Portugal for that ayahuasca. When you were away from here, I'm assuming maybe you were on your own when you travelled there. Did you feel when you were away more yourself? You felt more in tune with yourself than you did back here. Would that be right?
Oh yeah, definitely, Jonathan. I was always trying to be something for everybody else. But then again, I didn't know who me was. Most of us all go our whole lives without knowing who you are. I didn't know what I wanted. Most of the things in my life I was doing because other people were saying it. There's only one thing that I wanted to give was love, but I didn't love me.
Yeah.
None of them times did I fully love me. I was going out to find a thing. I didn't realize you had to go on a self-development, mentorship. That I ended up falling in love with me because I had to understand who me is. I had to figure out what program was running. Why is it that I keep reverting back to this? And that's the problem. I kept falling back because I hadn't a destination where I wanted to end up. But we don't want to end up. We just want to be in love with everything we have right now. We want to be in love and accepting that who you are, that when you look in the mirror, that you get excited that you're going to spend the rest of the day with yourself. I get that now every day. It wasn't only until, like, my good friend D. Graham, that, again, he never give up. Good friends never do. And the time that I went on to win All Ireland, he went and created a business that he's now hanging out with the selves and shooting out, Van Morrison there, he's a suits, D. Graham Taylor made. And that's what he went on to do. He got that energy and passion, desire. Because when you like something inside you, that's something that you never put out again. But you need to channel it somewhere. I was channeling down through these other directions of drugs and stuff like that. Everybody's got a unique gift in this world. It's just being organized to understand where you're going to channel it, where you're going to channel that energy, because you can channel it down all the wrong ways. But as I say, he went on to that, but he took me up to this lady. He was shooting her out, and it was Kim Calvert. And this brings me on to, like, the lady that has changed my life. Like, I went That was over a space of maybe 7, 8 years I was doing them things. And I didn't know what to do. And this lady stood up in front of me in the middle of Oma in a seminar, my first ever seminar. And she just, boom, boom, boom. She brought every single last dot of reason why the way we are, the reason why we think the way we are, and the reason why we get the results we always get is always because of the programming that we've always done. It's a paradigm that they talked about. These things shifted in me. I was like blown away of awareness. How on earth did she put that all together? Because it was like, aha moment. It just blew my mind. The incredible things. I was following Bob Proctor, at the time, but here's a little girl from Lurgan talking a Lurgan accent, talking up on the stage. It literally just threw me that somebody out there knows what I'm going through. Because I knew that I didn't know what I was going through. Never mind asking. You know the way you say, they don't understand. Well, of course they don't understand because I don't understand. That's why people are in trouble in mental health. That's the reason why they're in there, because they don't understand themselves. That's the reason why. And then you don't expect somebody else to understand. You just want them to be there for you and care for you. And that's why I had good friends like that. He kept, regardless, and I had good friends that never give up. My mother never gave up on me. The people that truly love and care for you never give up for you. It doesn't mean they have to understand you, because nobody understands me. And how would they understand? I don't understand. But there's a lady up in here that understood how she could help me change that. Now, that's the first time that somebody could stand up there, because nobody else could fit to do that. But there's somebody there. And then the way she explained it and how we go through it, how we break down the paradigm, how we change it, how we go to reprogram it, that would set me on a journey, lad. That's only 15 months ago. And now I've left my job that was with BT and OpenReach, a good, well-paid job. Now I'm helping people do the same journey that I done.
Yeah.
Breaking down that habits and breaking down them programs, building new habits, building a whole new system. It's like rewiring your whole thing. Like, as I say, if you're not being defined of a vision of the future, you're being defined of a vision of the past. And that's something that I never was. I was never being defined of a vision of the future. I get up every day and think about where I'm going rather than where I've been. Because if you keep thinking where you've been, you'll still be looking back and you'll not able to move forward. And if you do move forward by looking back, you're going to bump into all the things you never wanted to bump into.
Oh, definitely. When in your early years, when you were going through, like, you seem to, I would say, I've seen this in a few people, and maybe myself as well, that there's, how do you explain it? I'll go from my own experience. When I was growing up, I always felt there was always something I'm going to use it. I think I'm stealing this from somebody else, like a splinter in the mind. Did you always feel that as well? That when you were kind of going through all those dark periods, that you always felt I could be more than what I am. I need to be doing something. Did you feel that kind of? Was there something always there, kind of like almost like willing you to? No, need you to go this way. Yeah, be more. Yeah.
There was always something that always just led me, Jonathan. It was just, there's more in life. There has to be more. There's more. I know I used to see a psychologist when I was young, because I used to get noises in my head, just pains, and used to scream and roar and cry. And I know what they are and know what they were. But I didn't know what it was for, what it was doing. But I didn't. I just wasn't the same. I always knew there was something different there. But it's that burning thing that's inside all of us, a burning desire that give me hope that there might be something more. But only until you go after something do you actually figure out that's something in you. Because I found something in me that I didn't know was there, which was with the boxing. I didn't know that there was. I was a better boxer when I was a younger lad, but I couldn't win an All Ireland because I didn't have a mindset. Yeah. I didn't have a mindset. I didn't have to build that mindset. I knew when I went into boxing, the only thing that I needed to do was have the mindset. Because it didn't matter what it was. If I was determined to have something, the universe will move mountains for you to get it. And that's what I believe. Now, I kept wanting more when I was younger, Jonathan. It was just always just meeting defeat at every step. Always meeting defeat. But, Edison, somebody says he failed 10,000 times, but he didn't say he failed 10. He says there's 10,000 steps on how to create the light bulb.
Yeah.
For me, all them steps that I had, you won't call them failures. They were steps to exactly where I needed to be today. You said off air here that, yes, you had this idea to create this podcast so often ago, but you needed that pain of disappointment to make sure that you hadn't done it, to eventually do it.
Yeah.
Somebody's threshold's different. Now, The thing about it is, I could have got where I'm at today in 20 to 30 years, if lucky, but there was no guarantees on it. So what was my choice? To go and hear what this lady said, who was Kim's a nurse. She was a nurse, a mental health nurse, working in Ulster Hospital. And she literally changed her life around from having £4.20 in her pocket to now being a multimillionaire, being the number one consultant in the world of Bob Proctor, who is the number one in this thinking game. We take it back.
Yeah.
Bob's the last arc of that there. And she is now his number one. And I said to myself, well, if she's done this here and she's done it, she's fit to go and write out, draw the picture of even a Ferrari, a blue Ferrari that she wanted. And she was fit to go and manifest the exact blue Ferrari into Belfast one day. And she now owns it. Big house beside Van Morrison and stuff. All these things. But it's all that there's good. People say, oh, we don't want all these nice things. But do you know what? When you stretch yourself to go after that, you're going to become something you were never were.
Yeah.
It's in order for us to do that, for us to be a better thing. I always say that money does not give, money just makes you more of a reflection of who you are. If you're an arsehole, you're going to be more of an arsehole.
Yeah.
If you're a kind, loving person and charitable, you're going to be more of that. Kim is all of that. She's more charitable, more. At the end of the day, the more you make of yourself, I always say there's nothing enlightened about playing small in this world. Playing so small that somebody doesn't feel insecure around you. Because that's what it is. People don't want to be, don't look at that there, and he'll say something to me, look at him, look at that. No, there's nothing enlightening about that. My playing small doesn't serve the world.
No.
I never did. And I now know that when I let my shine bright, I unconsciously give others permission to do the same. Yeah. That's what I do. And I say, when as I am walking forward and I'm limited by fear, my present automatically eliminates somebody else's fear because they're around me, because I'm putting out that energy. Yeah. So when you start becoming more, you inspire others to become more because they look up to what you've done. I see that with my best friends. I see that with anybody in my family and everything. So because I went and wanted more for me, and because I wanted to learn who I was and go and develop the true potential in me, well, now others are doing the same for themselves.
Did you find, and I've seen this quite a lot, and I think it's experienced in my own life, when you start to shift away from just mindless partying and drinking and drugs, did you find when you start to rise up, some friends kind of jumped on that bandwagon because that was like someone was like showing them the way out of the cave, or did you find a few people maybe trying to fell out with you, they seen you as he thinks he's better than us, because you often find people kind of in the same kind of like a pit or level. When someone goes like, I'm going to give up smoking, they're like, no, actually have another fag. They want to do that themselves, but they're scared the other person does it.
When you're going after success, and the way I've been going after it, your world gets a lot smaller. Your phone calls are a lot less. Yeah. You would think it would be the opposite way when somebody's going after big dreams and big success, but it goes the opposite way. But we always say that's why a Lamborghini is only got 2 seats. Yeah. We think about it this way. When we're going after something, the person is driven, focused, is not going to get caught up in all the bullshit that's going on at home or down the street, or did you hear Jimmy John down the road, or what's going on there, did you hear such with him? That conversation I no longer put up with. I no longer talk about other people or talk about this rubbish. So that means then people don't have so many things in common with you. Because the thing about it is, I've raised my vibration to this level. People don't feel that friends and stuff, or in the past, don't feel they can communicate with me just in that way because I'm not on their vibration anymore. Yeah. That's why you always see women when they go out to the shop, lad. So when we always talk about when they go out and they're talking about the weather and talking about this here, and they're not really in common, they're just talking with her. Did you see such and such, and she's away off for such and such? Once you get into the gossip about somebody else, boom, they brought each other's levels down so both of them can communicate on them. Because up here they didn't know where they were at, both of them were not the same. But when they bring it to a low vibration about talking about somebody else in a negative way, then they communicate and they sit and chat all day. Yeah. But both of them will walk away disappointed in the feeling in themselves. Not that they're aware of it. Most people aren't aware of this. But that's the reason why my friends, the friends who do, I have great friends that came with me, that did do the drugs with me, that do And I made a plain point to say to them, I says, if you're not goal driven anymore, it mightn't work for us.
Yeah.
Because I need goal driven people around me. I want people that want to be more for themselves, want more for their families, want more. I don't want somebody laying around partying and boofing and all that carry on that was
Yeah.
going on. And they understood that well, but they were always doing it themselves, stepping one step at a time. When I brought to attention the roadmap exactly how it was done and what way it is, bringing awareness to what we were doing. They had we only come consciously aware when you come out of things. As Steve Jobs says, you can never match the dots going forward. You can only match the dots once you arrive there. 99% of the time, you never see your goal right up until the last moment. Nobody sees it in the physical form. See, that's the reason why you need the belief and the faith that you're going somewhere that you never went before. And you know it, you've got to believe that it's worthwhile. And that's, my friends, know that I'm putting myself out here. That's why I'm going after things that nobody else is ever going after.
Because I think that's the thing that everyone gets kind of caught up with, and especially when you're younger, you think the more friends I have, the more, it's almost like the more possessions I have, the better I am. The more friends I have, the better I am. And I remember, I'm not mentioning names, a friend I haven't really spoke to in a long time, just kind of drifted apart. There was a guy I knew, and he was literally the life and soul of the party. He was the everyone wanted to be around him. He DJ'd and all. He was super popular. And we were away somewhere again. Like I mentioned, a location, so kind of go drawing the dots. But he took this big cocktail. Like it was literally a mixture of all this drink. Like it was like every bit of alcohol was free into it, and he'd been taking ketamine. And he went horizontal, and he was out, and literally no. Like, you think if he had all these friends who would stay around and make sure he's all right, they all went away, they all went and partied, went out that night clubbing. So I stayed with him because he was in bad state, and I knew that sometimes people go unconscious like that, they could vomit and choke and die. But literally nobody cared. They all just kind of went, "Oh, he's out," and that was it. And that's always kind of stuck with me is that, as you say, as you get older, you can count the people who are with you, or the people who you can rely on one hand. Whereas when you're younger, you don't think it comes with this is something that comes with age and wisdom. Um, you realize who your friends are when you really hit that rock bottom, or you fall on your back basically.
You do, lad. It does, because nobody gives a shit.
No.
80% of the world don't care, and another 20% is glad it's happening to you.
Yeah.
And that's the way for me in that perception. So, but you don't hold any badness with that.
No.
You gotta be responsible for yourself. And I know, yeah, that was disappointing. But guess what? I happened to me more times than enough. I was a fucking aged boom boom, putting the bags of coke and wiping out land on a fucking trampoline or something. But I don't hold that against anybody other than I take responsibility in this thing. And I take responsibility every time, because that's what the thing we were lacking. If I took accountability back then, I wouldn't have been blaming. I was blaming everybody but me. I was blaming all the problems in the world outside because of the job, because of the money, because of everything in my life. But it's only until I took complete accountability that I took the power from them to me, put it back in my pocket. I now own my power every day, because I now do not wait on somebody's comment to say something nice to me or to back me or to, I don't need that anymore. I've got the strength in me. When you start waiting on somebody else, say this podcast and somebody criticizes it and stuff, you take that, you put it on board, you either do something with it, and you say, thank you very much, either or. But if you just say that's an arsehole, then you lose the power in the argument or in the situation.
Yeah.
Don't give away your power by saying that something there's a problem or something like that. There, it's like something you don't get along with now. You don't get along with. You don't hate him. I hate him. I hate him. It's like eating the poison and wishing for him to die.
Yeah.
It's like you eating the poison, wishing him to die. But if you dislike somebody right now, or if you've got a bad day and you blame it on somebody at work, what you're doing there is you're taking the power away from you. And you no longer you can't handle that situation anymore because you've given it away. Until you take back responsibility and say that I'm responsible for every action that I have. Now that's why, as my friends, I have always time for every single one of them. The day that they come knocking on me, I went and developed myself. So in order for me to help my family, friends, and my loved ones, that's the reason why I done what I done. I knew they weren't willing to do it, so I went and took the steps to develop me So in order the times come that they need help, I'm here for them. Regardless if we ever spoke or anything ever happened in the past,
Yeah.
because I've took responsibility for my life. So I hold no regrets in the past from against anybody else.
See, if anyone's watching this now and they're stuck in a rut, maybe they're stuck in drugs or whatever, obviously we recommend to get professional help. Or if anyone's stuck in just a dead end job, or they're just their life's kind of just dull and they've lost meaning, what advice would you give? Where's the best place to start? Obviously, if I do say if anyone has any mental health issues, do seek professional help. But if someone's stuck in a rut, whatever it may be, where's the what advice would you give them just to kind of start moving in a direction that they want to go?
You look at somebody who's where you're at, who's been what you've been through, and you talk to them. You talk to somebody who's already been that journey. Like we talk about it so many times, like somebody else, like my mess, in the past, my absolute tragedy and stuff can be somebody else's blueprint for success. We don't have to keep walking the untold roads. These roads have all been walked before. The books have been written about it. The one thing that I would say is to reach out, mentorship, develop yourself, because it's only you that got you there, and it's only you that's going to get you out of there. It's not that help with psychology. It's not that help. It'll be you. And that's what we do. We empower, like myself, I empower people to get out of that situation. I empower them. So when they leave me after 6 months or something, they never need anybody else again because they're empowered themselves. We got to teach you that you've got all the answers, but you got to learn how to discover them. It's like unwrapping this gift, there's, just unwrapping it. There's a gift in there and it just needs to be unwrapped. Sometimes you can't do it, but come and give somebody and they'll start wrapping it and you'll find the true potential. And I always say, if you see somebody that is doing what you want to be doing and they've probably went through what you went through, speak to them. Speak to them. That's the ultimate game. That's the ultimate, because if we don't talk and say that we are the problem, every problem you have right now starts and finishes with you. And when you start believing that, then you'll never look outside yourself for any other, you're not blaming anybody and you become a lot more powerful. It's hard to take because you get into this hurt and you'll get into this thing and you mentally thinking, you got to get into forgiveness. The only way to forgive yourself is start understand yourself, understand why you're doing it. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Hypochondriac there, so on. Not your fault, but it was a condition. You're born into this world, into the environment. You don't get to choose it, right? From the ages of 1 to 7, your programs, your environment, all this thing, my father and stuff and all, their drinking and stuff, a lot of things going on. That might have been, that is printed in. Gives me no excuse. But that's a program, part of your program in there. And then you move on up with that program and then it gets expanded because that's, you've now related, this is who you are, and you become more of that and you become more of that. And nobody teaches you at school or anywhere else to become that different. Nobody's told you that you can change the program. I say to you here now, you can do it. You through self-discovery, self-development, through mentorship, through anything that people have been out there, and through that, they can give you the shortcut. I don't understand why people have to go for 10 to 15 years and through, I'll get this in 5 years. You know what I mean? The world was made in 7 days, 6 days, and then he took the last day off. We didn't know, here's us looking to get £10,000 or £100,000 in 5 years. Well, if the money's already there and all the dreams that you already have, you're never going to create anything else. It's everything, the creations are finished. Creation is finished. So the things that you're looking and things, the troubles that you're looking to get out of mindset thing, you got to go after gold. You got to put down a goal and spend the rest of your life going after that.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If somebody here today is listening to this and they want something, get a pen out. Write down something that freaks them out and scares them and they believe that they could never get. And I can tell you now, you go after that and you'll become something you never thought you were. That's the things that I've done. Yeah. I've achieved them. Keep achieving them. My goals are massive. It's going to take a lifetime to get it, I would say, but not because I know quantum leaps are available there. I could get it next year. Boom, like that.
What is your basic kind of template that you can explain to us about setting goals? Because I know there's a lot of research I think was done in Harvard where they analysed these students who had set goals, actually went on to achieve them, and the students who didn't set goals end up didn't get to where they were wanting to get to. And there was research on this. I think it was done in Harvard quite a long time ago. But what's the best way of setting a goal and actually achieving? Because obviously, saying I want to be X, Y, and Z, to from starting out to there, it can, you can get sidetracked. You can also have doubt as well.
That's the thing, sidetrack. See that word sidetrack? It just like there's no sidetrack when you're wanting a goal. The reason what we got to do, right? There's three types of goal. An A type goal is something you know you can get. Jesus, I'd love to get this job here. You know you can get it. You just have to go out and apply for it. You want to do this. Or you want that house. B type goal is something you think you can get. If I do X, Y, Z, then I'm going to get them three together. Then I'm going to get that goal. Or there's a C type goal. The C type goal is something you have no idea, and it's a dream beyond a dream that would excite the life out of you, that you're probably the number one podcast in the world, that you are up there talking with Ed Mylett and the Tony Robbins of the world, and you're on the same platform as them, and you have no idea you got there. That freaks the shit out of you. You have no idea how it would happen, but you just want it. So what do we do? Because we know that the goal is all about growth. We're growth-oriented beings. We're always growing. Life is all about growing. And if we're not growing, we're dying. That's official. That's just it. And the only way we can grow more in our life, because the more we can become a larger expression of ourselves, the more joy we will have in our life, the more good that we can give to others. And that's what it is. So this goal, this C-type goal, if we were going after like a big podcast, wanting to be the number one in the world, you got to go and you got to write it down for number one. 57% of people are more likely to get something when they write it down. 57%, there you go, you start in the morning. Boom. You're going to get off that. But you got to be grateful for what you already have in this world. So you got to go, you want it, right? I know that I lived my goal. When I talk about the boxing, I get into my goal, I wanted the boxing. I want an All-Ireland title. So what I do every day, I step and I get into the visualization of that. And I started acting from the wish fulfilled. I started living the thing, the All-Ireland title. My father standing over with me because he was a boxing coach in his time. Nobody had ever won it in 60 odd years down in the boxing club. I was the first one to do it. I visualized it all. And that day, I still have the photographs of that day of them doing that. But I get into it and I get into the feeling. Because you know what? You don't want a goal. You want the feeling that a goal gives you. It's the feeling that we are all here for. We're human beings. We always feel an emotion, energy. That's it. We're always moving in energy. And that's what we want, the feeling. But if you can get you can your imagination, it's one of your higher mental faculties, and you visualize you actually receiving your goal, actually in possession of your goal, it'll trigger something inside you that never triggered before. Now, the big game is trying to hold on to that constantly. And we do that through repetition. We need to get your goal from a want to a burning desire. That's what we teach you to do. We teach that there in a level till we get it, our burning desire, through the repetition of an idea. And every single day, you have to become transfixed on it. Like everything in your life moves around it. People say, oh, that's a bit mad and that's not that. Life you're living now, if it's not that, if your way is not working, my way is. Let's try it. Yeah. That's the gift. I have nothing but a beautiful life because you know why? I'm focused on what I want, not what I don't want. And you talk about the barriers and distractions and stuff like that. Once you ask for your goal, right? It's been wrapped up and packed. This is one by Steve Harvey that I love. It's been wrapped up and packaged immediately once you ask for it. And it's going to be sent, right? But it's going to be sent to only one place. It's called Faith Street. It's been wrapped up and packaged and it's only been sent to Faith Street. If you're not on Faith Street and you're over in Doubted Avenue or Worry Street or Fear Street or, if you're over there, it's going to be returned to sender. That's the only place it's ever going to be. So when you're talking about there, the distraction, the worries, not, there's only faith. Faith is the only place that's going to be delivered to the Faith Street. And if you have faith that you're going to receive it, then that's what you're going to do. But if you're over in Doubted Avenue or Worry Street or Fear Street, ain't coming to you. Yeah. That is the way it is. If you just start doubting and worrying about it, boom, it's going to take longer for it. Because there's a law. Everything works by universal law. We can send a man to the moon, lad, with exact timing. We can send it because there's universal laws. We do the space and all this here, gravity, they work it actually in and they auto crack the whole way. We can do the same. There's a law of gender, or law of gender, there's a gestation period from when you ask for something and you
Yeah.
receive it. Everything is. When you plant a seed in the ground, lad, it doesn't pop up tomorrow. It doesn't pop up the next day. But if you don't look after that seed in the ground, you don't water it and you don't nurture it, it won't grow either. If you put a bucket on top of it, it's never going to do it. That means the negative thoughts and stuff, you set that on top of the seed, it's never going to grow into this true potential.
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, when you ask for something, you ask for a goal, it's going to be a gestation period, but you got to be on Faith Street when it's going to come. You got to keep that belief over and over through repetition. All these you have to look at every single disappointment as your beautiful journey.
Yeah.
That's the fun games. I always say, your problems there are just guidelines.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think it, uh, when people start work towards something, I think you often see uh, they have that enthusiasm for starting the journey towards where they want to get to. So, say, example, like losing weight, they have that enthusiasm. Maybe they have a coach, and they're all excited. And first couple of sessions are all buzzing, and then they get maybe right the weekend, and they overindulge, and then they kind of.
Yeah.
What would you recommend when someone's moving towards a goal to have like a routine as such of visualizing, almost kind of like reigniting that fire? So it's like if you have a fire, the fire starts off, you get the enthusiasm, you've got a coach to lose weight, and then the fire dampens maybe after a bad weekend. Um, would you recommend then obviously having a routine of like visualization of reigniting that fire, stoking the fire to
Discipline.
be going?
Discipline, buddy. Discipline. That's what it's all about. You got to be in that daily ritual every single day that you're going down. You got to write that goal out. You got to get into that state of mind that you're already receiving it. I'm going 437 days now with my left non-dominant hand, writing out. This is not my good hand. The reason why I do it, I'm writing out my self-image script the way I am going to be when I have my goal. I write it out the person who I'm going to be right now. I write it out my left hand. Why do I do that? Because I know it's hard to do it with my left hand. I know habits are hard to build. And I know I do it over and over again. I do it every single day without fail, with drink, bad mood, everything. Because you know why? The bio universe didn't stop the world from growing and say, sure, Brian's not having a good day today. We'll just hold back and that everything needs to stop because we need to get it. No, the world's going on, and you know what? You just made that was the day that your opportunity for you to get a quantum leap towards your goal. You might miss out on it. So every day you got to get up and get after it. You got to be hungry. Absolutely hungry. Les Brown says you got to be hungry. And I worked along with Les Brown, and that's why he was one of our mentorships as well. And I'm telling you now, that's the thing you got to be hunger. And if you've got hunger for somebody, people's getting up every day to go and waste their time and going for a drink and going, I can go and take my drink and I can go and out and enjoy myself. I can take the days off, but I'm not taking a day off to my goal. My goal's too important. I can take a day off to go to, not do certain this thing, but I'm not getting away from that. There's not a day I doesn't go by. You got to get into giving gratitude. You got to give things you're grateful for now and things you're grateful for in the future. Gratitude, the thing that's going to empower this world. That's it. The more that you're grateful for something, the more you'll have to be grateful for. It just the gratitude is number one. Lad. If anybody on here was listening, get a pen out and start saying what you're grateful for. And if it could be a coffee, it could be the bed, it could be the heating, it could be the water, it could be something as small as that. I'm telling you now, your life will change dramatically.
Yeah, I think we do forget that. I think it's maybe part of our it's kind of part of our society is that we're kind of geared to be thinking what's next, when I'm getting this, when I'm getting that, and too often we forget of what all we have, and we lose that kind of gratitude. I think that's a really important thing to have. I think if you appreciate, because that's something I try to factor in my own life. I mean, if I'm, for example, was interacting with yourself in setting up this interview, I always say to go as much. I always try to say, look, I thank you for your time because I'm grateful that person's took time out of their busy schedule to kind of go, yep, I'd be happy to talk to you about whatever subject. And I think the more gratitude we have, then the more I think more I suppose it brings you back. I suppose it centers you. It makes you more mindful of the present.
The reason why you think I don't want to roll or shout about goals here, I'm not shouting about them. I have my gratitude done at the top of the page. My goals below it. Nothing comes before the gratitude. like I'm not joking you, like you just got to be grateful for what you have here in the minute, because you're always acting like you already have it.
Yeah.
That's the goal. People are saying, I want, I want, I want. But the universe will give you exactly what you want, the
Yeah.
want of it. So if I want £10,000 more, and you say, I want, I want, I want, I want, well, I wanted that for 10 years. Well, didn't the universe give it to you for 10 years, the want of it? Didn't actually give you the physical thing. You get it. Once you ask for something, you start acting like you already have it.
Mm.
That's the difference. That's the game changer. When you start acting like from the wish fulfilled that you have already got your goal and your thing. So if I right now that I have a big massive goal in my life, what way would I be acting? What way would I feel? You gotta keep, because it's all about the feeling. The feeling is the secret. And for this is like the reason why I say to you like, on here, and I'm so knowledgeable in what I know and understand is now because I developed myself over the space of the last year or so, every single day and study. Because what we do not understand, we fear. And that becomes our blockage towards our goal. So if I get a fully understanding about so much more about me, because the mind, I'll never fully understand it ever, but I understand it a great deal of the laws of the universe and how to work with them. I know how to use higher mental faculties that are sitting there, or superpowers that are deep down in. I know how to put them to use when I come up against the fear, because then I've got an understanding of the law of the universe. I know how to work with it. It's an incredible thing, lad. That only comes through. You can learn this all out over a lifetime of through luck, which I don't believe in. It's through your thoughts become things. And this is the thing. You can close that gap by asking. If you've done it, you're getting somebody else on here to learn something. Books do that. But books can't get you to the place you want to do, because that you can read all the books you like, but if you don't get into the know and doing gap, which is closing that gap, people know a lot of stuff. I can tell you now, a lot of intelligent people out there that were at school knew every book inside, knew all their things. They're still not even a job. They've all these degrees and they still don't have the job they want. No one doesn't get you anywhere. It's action. And you have to know how to implement it.
Yeah.
Knowledge is not power. It's only potential power. It's application of knowledge that is the superpower in behind it.
Yeah. Putting thoughts, putting things into action. I remember speaking to Donna Kennedy. Um, she was studying to become a psychologist. That's what she found. She found had all these theories, but it was the stuff that she put into practice with her clients, and some things worked, some things didn't. That formed her practice. Um, what with yourself? What kind of a routine would you have? Like, what, if you don't mind me asking, what's your day look like?
Look, lad, my routine is getting up at 5:30 in the morning, like I'm getting straight in. Meditation could be into the gratitude, it could be into the goal setting. Then there's affirmations, I ams, getting that over the repetition of an idea. Then you go into reading, then you go into the study, and then you go into my daily work, which is so-called work, which is helping people close the gap from where they are to where they want to be.
Yeah.
But it's discipline. I got discipline is one of the greatest things you can ever have. And that's discipline yourself, discipline is giving yourself a command and following it. That's what we want to be doing. You want to be giving your command. If I say on here and you're inspired here today, look, you either passive learning or you are emotionally learning. The passive learning is no good to you. You can listen to this podcast all you like, and you can listen to all the YouTubes passively. But if I said to you now, Jonathan, do you remember 9/11 where you were at?
Yeah.
Impactful.
Yeah.
You got to put emotion behind what you're learning. I get up every day and I went through my course and I was crying out my eyes out because I was discovering who I was. I was emotionally involved. They lifting me up and lifting me down. I was going through it. I lived this. This is living and breathing this here material. And it was just crazy who I was and how I had to change. And it was hard that I had to change emotionally, because everybody remembers where they were at 9/11 because it had an emotional impact on them. But where were you at the day before 9/11?
Yeah.
You don't know, do you?
Yeah.
Because you're passive. Most people are just going through the day trying to get something from your day. Get emotionally involved. Learn something. We're on here today. You might possibly listen to this like we did to all these other great podcasts and all these great YouTubes out there. But nothing's going to make a difference until you start getting emotionally involved with what you want and emotionally involved with the learning. Because that's what we do at school.
Yeah.
We just put stuff in, and Jesus, don't remember that. Why not? Jesus, I passed that exam, but Don't remember it now because you weren't emotionally involved with what you were learning. You're not emotionally involved. I can tell you now, your whole life depends on what you do here today and you think today. Everything in front of you, Jonathan, right, was created twice. Once in the mind, then in its physical form. This podcast yours was created once in the mind. Now it's here in the physical presence of the activity of it now between me and you. Nothing in this life gets created once. It's created twice. So if you think about it, first must happen up here, then it'll come real. So everything in your life in that room that you have right now was once a thought, whether it's the TV, whether it's the laptop, whether it's the light in the corner. It was once a thought, then you bought it. Everybody needs to watch because you know why? If you're not learning this material and you're not understanding it, you're going to get all the things you don't want. If you keep thinking of all the things you don't want, and you keep ending up with the things you want, well, change your thinking.
Yeah.
Learn how to change it. I don't say control it because I never want to control my thinking. I just don't want to identify with the thoughts that are coming in that are no longer serving me.
Today, I mean, we're definitely in a things are fairly changed in a lot of levels. Mm-hmm. I've got two questions kind of related to what's going on today, and I think the first question is, we're literally inundated with distractions. Like there's loads of great podcasts, as you may have mentioned. I mean, I'm very much into martial arts, and I can say that from 21 years ago, you had such a small. There was only a few instructions you could probably get on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, especially in Northern Ireland. Now, literally, like if you type in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Muay Thai, whatever, on Google, you will have loads of products that you can purchase. All great products, I have to say. What way do you handle distraction? Like obviously, you've got what's going on in the world as a greater picture, and then things. When you need to focus on your work or working for a goal, how do you limit distractions?
There doesn't be distractions when you have a burning desire.
Okay.
You don't get when you're after something. There's no ifs, there's no buts anymore. Okay. You know, I know attention's the new currency in this world. Trying to get people's attention, but I'm so mad and focused and energized and loving what I'm doing every day. I don't care what's going on. I am definitely know what's happening and the coronavirus and everything. But I've just spent the last year and everybody else was in lockdown, and I've developed myself truly into being probably in the best shape I've ever been mentally. You know, and when I'm able to develop me, there doesn't be distractions, buddy. There doesn't. You can allow distractions, but I know I would write down. I'm going for a drink. I'm going home next weekend. I can write it down. I would plan that out. So I know it's not a distraction, it's something that I had planned in. Give yourself the time. Give yourself the things that you say you want to do, but schedule it in. Become the owner of your time. Manage your activities. That's what we all got to do. Look at your calendar. If you're not something booked in and you keep saying, oh, somebody's stealing your time, that's because you didn't book in time for yourself. The universe will always put something in place for you to do. Always constantly make you busy. I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. Well, you'll always get something to be busy about. Distractions for me, lack of focus. Anybody that wants something, burning desire that they're going to give their whole life for it, we're all giving up our whole life every day. Remember this. We're all going to one place at the end of it all. So you're dying for something. Yeah. But you're probably dying for somebody else's dream, going up to give them, getting a paycheck so then you can build their dream. But I get up every day to build the dream that I love, to build the life that I always desire, to get up every day and do everything that I want. So I have great focus on that. And I know that the sense of reach that I will have in the near future, I'm going to help a lot of people because I help me. That's what we want to do. Make sure that your goal is big and bad and scary.
The other question then related to what's going on today, and when I say this, I mean what I mean is people hopefully don't take this the wrong way. Very much victimhood is very much a big thing now, and do it wrong. I think it's good when people share their past things they went through. I think it's very important because it helps them people relate. Then it can help change them. The point I'm trying to make is resilience is a big thing, and how obviously for your boxing you developed resilience. What tips could you give to people who maybe want to develop that resilience to kind of uh, keep going through times are tough or setbacks, etc.
Get yourself out there, something you love doing. Start doing it, and just like, even you don't get paid for it, just do it. Whether it's something, sport, anything, just get into it. Like I didn't realize that's what had happened with boxing. I get into martial arts discipline. That's always anybody that's got background. Say like 2% of the 3% people who own all the money in the world, they've got some background in martial art or in discipline and stuff like that. They've really driven themselves. You got to be getting into something like that, and when you start getting in and you take yourself, like start taking you accountability for everything that happens in your life, like start writing down, I am responsible for everything that happens to me. Like when you write that down and look at that, and if you wrote that yourself, then you believe that I'm responsible for everything that happens to me. That means that you no longer become the victim. You become the solution to the problem. For me, I believe it's when you're getting into something that you're really passionate about, something you really love, because passion is a thing that's going to light something inside you, and you're going to give up your whole life to go after. And that's what it is. Like it's like I did that boxing, and it really, really brought me in, and it really disciplined me, and it got me that their habits. All you want to do is build good daily habits that are going to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So it's there's gifts laying out there. Like we've all got a unique fingerprint in our life.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's unique. That means that we're all given a unique gift. But until you start stretching yourself and start going after something that you never thought you could have, something that you always dreamed of, then that's when your dream will come and show itself.
Definitely, yeah. No, I think that's the thing. I mean, even me doing this podcast, I've known mentioned this a few times before. Even doing this, fairly stretched myself because in the early days, interviewing the first few guests, on the way to interview them, my brain was making up a million excuses to get out of it. Um, like phone ahead, say you're not feeling well, phone ahead, your car's broken down, phone ahead, reschedule, and I'll be honest, it's still there, but it's not as strong as it once was. And I can normally kind of when the wee voice pops up and kind of give it a slap and say get back in the car. So um, we're coming to the end of the interview, Brian. And this is a question I ask quite a few guests now. What's your mission statement?
Pick people up one thought at a time. You know, I want to leave this world a lot better off because I had Brian Cassidy in it. I want to say that a lot of people's lives are a lot better because I lived. That's the reason why, because I'm the reason why is because I went on discovery. I went through that discipline. I went through the battles. So then I could be a better person so other people can live a better life. I know for what I've done here today will help change generations. My kid, my kids' kids, and beyond. And anybody that ever comes in contact with me, I always try to leave them just leave them a better impression. You know, that's what it is. And life, you know, just so they can walk away and they can walk tomorrow a lot happier than they were the day before.
Yeah, no, excellent. What's next for you, Brian? Are you working on anything at the moment?
Yeah, we are working on a course at the minute. It's called Freedom Series, so it's absolutely free for anybody who's looking to develop themselves. So, as I say, you just reach out to myself and I can pop the link over to you. But as I say, this is what we're doing. We're taking people in, and we want to give it because people out there don't understand it, but we give this. It's a 5 day series. You can drop in and see about it, and it literally lets you understand how you can uncover the new awareness. People have their mind gets blown and like all the possibilities. And this is the reason why we love doing it because it's such a gift to give to people. And I feel everybody out there should have it. And as I say, it's a free thing. It's a free course for me. I can send it out to anybody.
Excellent. And lastly, Brian, if anyone wants, obviously, for example, that freedom course, or even get in touch with you for mentoring, anything, how can people contact you?
Well, you can get me on Brian.Cassidy, that's on Instagram, and Brian Cassidy on Facebook, and Brian at dynamitelifestyle.com or .com. That's my email address.
Excellent. I'll include links in the show notes. Yeah. So, Brian, thank you very much for coming on, and I really appreciate your time and appreciate you sharing your knowledge and you're also your own story. And again, if anyone's watching this and they're affected by mental health or addiction to whatever, do reach out and definitely contact professional services, whether you're based in Northern Ireland or the wider European, do always ask for help. So Brian, thanks very much.
No worries. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Pleasure being on.